Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Daily Bible Wrap Up. I'm Greg, and happy that you're here with me on this journey of learning and just moving forward. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to move forward. We are in the readings for today are Psalm 89, 30 through 37, Romans 11, 33 through 12, and First Chronicles 6. So we're going to go ahead and start in where we're continuing in Psalm 89. We've been through that in parts. And actually, I think here, verse 37 summed it up well. If you fail to obey, it will result in punishment, but God's love does not stop. That's really what I got from today's little snippet of Psalm 89. Not much more that I have to talk about that this morning, I guess. So we're going to go over to New Testament. Romans 11, 33 through 36 is the next group. I'm going to read verse 33 here. Quote, "Oh, how great are God's riches in wisdom and knowledge! How impossible it is for us to understand his decisions and ways." So this is a key statement of faith. As I mentioned, I think it was yesterday, there are some things in time that we cannot understand. Crossing from this world, in other words, dying, I believe will result in sort of like this instantaneous understanding of things we can't understand now, just because our nature will be different. Now, in Romans 12, Paul now says we should give our bodies to God because all of he has done for you. Now, a mantra that I adopted a few years back, probably have mentioned it before, is my body is the temple. And meditating on that mantra focused me more on just this aspect that if we treat the gift of our body as a holy temple, the gift from God that it is, instead of treating it as a possession of ours, then I think we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're certainly following Romans 12 here. I think that how we take care of our bodies is a form of worship in a way. Again, it is one of the gifts that God has given us. And while that's not to say that good living is going to guarantee a good body, it doesn't work that way. And it's not to say that bad living is going to guarantee a bad body. It doesn't work that way. It's more of a, what do you do with what you have? Um, verse 2, quote, "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world," emphasis mine, "but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." There's a lot that can be unpacked in this statement, but I wanted to focus on the word "this" in reference to this world. It makes sense for us to adopt the behavior and customs for the next world now as preparation for our destination. I'm one of those. I'm a planner. I admit it. They say in fiction writing, are you a pantster or a planner? And actually in writing, I'm probably a little bit of both. A planner is self-explanatory. A pantster is one who writes from the seat of their pants. In other words, and I never really understood that saying, but in other words, they just sort of go with the flow, would be the way that I would say it. So maybe I'd say flower instead of pantster. Um, I kind of do that sometimes because when I'm writing fiction, I like to see where the story is going to take me. But generally speaking, in most things, I'm definitely a planner. So again, it makes sense that, well, in the whole grand scheme of things, when you look at eternity, our time here is it's kind of like you're in a womb in a way. You're here for a short period of time, in time. and as much as possible to prepare for the next step. It makes logical sense to me. He does caution us, though, to not think that we are, quote, better than you really are, end quote. Focusing not on this world's behaviors and customs requires constant effort, though, I would say. Without such, we'll fail. Then he shifts to the collective, how we are all parts of Christ's body, and how each of us have different gifts. And my advice to you and to me, discover yours and don't yearn for gifts not given. God wants us to discover and use what he has given us. That's what I was just alluding to a few minutes ago. Where it's like we're different bodies, but let's just try to do the best with what we have been given. Now, Paul does list some gifts here: prophecy, serving, teaching, encouraging, giving, leading, showing kindness. I remember I did an exercise with a small group ministry that I was working with for at the time, and it was focused on self-awareness and discovering your gifts. And I need to find that because I can't remember. I should remember. I think I was in the teaching area, serving and teaching was what this exercise pointed out that my primary gifts are. But I'll have to find that. And I wish I remember the name of it, but you can do an internet search, I'm sure, and easily find um, the exercise for it. The goal again is to discover more for yourself, for intentionality, where your God-given gifts are focused. Again, there's so much to unpack in this chapter and in that statement I just read alone, before that stood out to me, but one other that did is in verse 14, "Bless those who persecute you. Don't curse them. Pray that God will bless them." And he also goes on to say, "Leave paybacks for the Lord to handle. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord," I think is one translation. It's a popular one. In other words, the Lord will sort things out. Focus on you and on your heart condition. And finally, one other quote from this reading is verse 21 that I like. "Don't let evil conquer you, but conquer evil by doing good." Again, that keeping your heart pure. Don't worry about retribution. And you really can't improve on that statement, I don't think. Old Testament, we're in First Chronicles 6. A lot of listing of genealogy and other facts. It's more of a factual exercise here that we're in. We're in the sons of Levi. The priestly lineage is presented. Now, remember that Moses and Aaron came from Levi. One of Levi's sons was Kohath. I always think that sounds Klingon. And one of Kohath's sons was Amram, father of Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Then a listing of Aaron's priestly descendants. I think the chief priests through his son Eleazar. This goes all the way to Jehoiada. I can't read my reading, but he's the king that went into exile into captivity, or rather the priest that went into exile into captivity under Nebuchadnezzar. Then the Levite clans are detailed, including the temple musicians. Oh, and yes. Verse 49 states, quote, "Only Aaron and his descendants served as priests." So this was the chief priest, the priestly line. Then a record of the lands associated for the Levites is presented, portions from each of the other tribes' territories. Again, a summation of things that we have already talked about during the journey through the Old Testament, earlier books, readings, Numbers rather, and Leviticus and Deuteronomy, and a lot of that is in there. A lot of some is from Kings. So we're looking at a summary here. Cliff notes, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day, and we will catch up again tomorrow. Take care.